Alright, YouTube, let's try this out. I do want to throw out there that I know way more about TikTok than I do about YouTube, and that really just shows you where we are starting out here. So please don't have too high of expectations for how pretty and presentable my page and this video will be. If you guys like this and it's something you want me to continue, I would definitely will learn the ins and outs of YouTube because I so genuinely know nothing. I am really excited to try this though. I feel like on TikTok I am so focused on getting my story told in those 3 minutes that my personality doesn't really come through. It's just like, tell a story, hurry up, fuck the details, you know? Can I cuss on here? Anyway, it's 11:40 at night, so I'm gonna try to get this done quickly and not take hours to record a 15-minute story. So January 27th, 2016, I lost my boyfriend Dominic to a heroin overdose, and this is just going to be the story of the day that he died and the weeks leading up to it. So like a week before Dominic died, one of his best friends died of an overdose, and this was like the 5th friend in a row to die, like back to back to back. And I just, at the beginning of January, Dominic was doing really, really well, like just the way we were talking, and he had a very positive outlook on everything, and he was getting a job, you know, like things really looked up for him, and I could kind of see that dwindling throughout the month. And this particular friend's death really just sent him off the deep end. Like a day or two after his friend died, him and I were on the phone. We hated long distance. We were literally always on the phone. We would talk for hours and hours on end. But this specific conversation, I will literally never forget for the rest of my life. But we sobbed together for hours on the phone because we just felt it. Like, we just felt that he was gonna die. And I hate saying that out loud because people always look at me like I'm absolutely insane, and I don't know how to actually put that feeling into words, and I don't know how to emphasize how insane that is for him and I specifically, because the majority of our relationship, not the majority, all of our relationship was me like giving everything I had to keep him alive, giving everything I had to try to prove to him that life was even worth living, because he really didn't want to live it. And I was like, no, like, I'll show you, you know? So I always gave everything I had to keep him safe, to keep him alive. And this conversation was just so different for us. It was just kind of like something that we both felt so deeply, and I felt as if I had no choice but to accept it. It wasn't something that I felt like I could even try to fix. Like, I don't know how to explain what that felt like. Okay, so let's go to January 26th. It was Dominic's last real day on earth. That morning he had like a 9 a.m. Vivitrol appointment, and if you do not know what Vivitrol is, it is a monthly shot that you get in your butt, and goddamn does it hurt, but it's like an opiate blocker. So it cuts your cravings. Even if you were to use opiates, you wouldn't even feel it because it like blocks the receptors in your brain. It's a miracle drug. I was on it for like 2 years, and it's honestly one of the only recovery treatments for opiates that doesn't come with a dependency. I am all for Suboxone and methadone, but those come with their own dependencies that you then have to detox from. Like, you know, like this one is just, you get it once a month. If you don't get it, you don't get it. But the downside of it is, as soon as that month wears off, and it's actually like 25 days really, but when that wears off, you really can kind of feel the cravings come back, and if you're in very early recovery, that can be a really dangerous time. So actually, I just want to throw this out there, but my first like year or year and a half that I was on Vivitrol, I got my shot every 3 weeks because I just could not risk any of it wearing off. So I highly recommend people doing that if you like really need the backup. So anyway, his appointment was 9 a.m. on the 26th, and the night before I had a whole ass talk with him because he was not a responsible motherfucker. He was not a morning person. If he had shit to do in the morning, there was like a 90% chance that he was just gonna sleep through it. And I was like, Dominic, this is not something you can miss. You fucking need this right now. Like, shit's going on. You have been grieving. Like, you need your shot so bad. I told him to set alarms, and you know, you can bring the horse to the watering, whatever, but you can't make him drink, right? So sure as shit, the morning comes, he's not answering, I'm blowing up his phone. I finally call his grandma and I'm like, you need to go wake his ass up, he's going to miss his appointment. She goes and gets him up, and he ends up being 10 minutes late to his Vivitrol appointment. 10 minutes. He was 10 minutes late, and the moment that killed him was when the doctor refused to see him and made him reschedule. And because I have the time to rant about it, I'm going to, because as I just mentioned, I was on Vivitrol for a very long time. I promise you that probably like 40% of my appointments I was late to, especially when I lived in Chicago and had to take the train to get to my appointments. And never once was I denied. Never once was I told to reschedule. They always fit me in. And I feel like any responsible doctor would know how fucking important that shot is. Like, it literally is life or death. Like, I've wanted to write that doctor a letter and be like, hey, you know that guy you fucking turned away? Yeah, he died 16 hours later, so fuck you. But anyway, I remember he called me after his appointment and told me everything that was going on, and I begged him to be safe until his appointment. He promised me he would be. What the fuck ever. And I don't really remember what happened the rest of that day until that night. That night, I'm gonna say around 7 o'clock, Dominic went MIA. His phone turned off, and I did not hear from him for like 4 hours. And as I'm sure you will learn as I tell more stories about him and I, that was never a good sign, literally ever. If you wonder why my anxiety is as fucked as it is now, you will see, because anytime this kid did not answer me for multiple hours, he was either OD'd in a ditch somewhere, or in jail, or in a hospital, or doing some absolutely stupid shit. Like, he was exhausting. I love him so much, but Jesus fucking Christ, that kid kept me on my goddamn toes. And it was not a cute thing. Like, I was too young to be dealing with that shit, and it fucked me up. Let me tell you. Anywho, I got a call from him. Oh no, I dropped my marker. Hold on. You will definitely notice that sitting still is one of my weaknesses, and I cannot do so without fidgeting something in my hand, so I do apologize. I ended up getting a call from him at like 11 o'clock at night. I will literally never forget picking up that phone, and the sound of his voice on the other end of it, he sounded like death. Like, he literally sounded like he was barely alive. He was crying, he was gasping for air, he was puking, he could barely get words out. And when he finally was able to talk, he told me that he overdosed behind a fucking dumpster, and somebody robbed him, and all he had left was his cell phone, and he didn't know what to do, and he was just an absolute motherfucking mess. And being in Chicago, there wasn't a whole lot I could personally do for him, so I did call my mom and asked her to drive like 30 minutes into the most ghetto part of St. Louis in the middle of the night to go pick up my half-dead boyfriend, and she happily agreed. I know with the stories that I've been telling on TikTok, it may kind of sound weird to call my mom to go do that, but they definitely get really close. My parents come to love Dominic so much. So she picks him up and takes him back to his grandma's house, and I wish she was here to tell the story, because I know that it was one of the most impactful moments of her life, and I think it was a very powerful moment even before he died and she realized what that moment was. But that entire car ride, he pretty much spent thanking her and expressing his love for her and his appreciation, and she said he gave her the best hug literally ever and held her so tight and was just like, I love you, thank you so much. And she looks back at it now and is like, he was saying goodbye, like, he knew. And I was like, I told you, he fucking knew, we fucking knew. But my mom was the last person to see him alive in person. She was the last person to hug him and really like love on him, and I know she holds that so close to her heart, and honestly I do too. Like, if it couldn't have been me, I am so thankful it was her. So she drops him off at his grandma's house. It's like midnight. He goes inside and he immediately calls me. We talk on the phone for about 3.5 hours. We were like in the middle of a conversation. We were both super tired and falling asleep. But all of a sudden, his side of the phone went completely silent. And it being 3 a.m, I definitely didn't think too much of it. I figured he either fell asleep or his phone cut out. I don't really know. I just told him that I loved him and to call me in the morning, and I hung up. And that's when he died. I didn't know it then. I didn't even feel it then, which I kind of think is weird. Just after everything that we had been going through the last few days, I really felt like I should have felt that in the moment, that like those were just his last breaths. Like, I just hung up on him dying. So there's that. But that situation honestly caused so much anger in me when it came to my grieving process, because he had just overdosed on that dope like 4 hours prior, right? Like, it was no surprise to him that that dope was not just strong but deadly. And yet he shot up while he was on the phone with me and didn't say a word. Like, you're gonna choose what you're gonna choose, but you could have at least said I love you, bye. You know, like, it just, He said nothing. He got high on dope that he had to have known was going to kill him, and he said nothing to me. And that just, I don't know if that's a super selfish thing to feel, but I have forever been like, why? You know, like, why didn't you fucking say a word? And even if he would have just said, I love you so much, like, I wouldn't have thought that's why he said it, but why didn't he just say it before he pushed the plunger in, you know? Like, fuck, man. Ugh. The next morning, I woke up around 9, so like 6 hours after I had hung up the phone with him. And as soon as I woke up, as soon as I woke up, I texted him and I said, are you dead? It was literally the first thing I did when I opened my eyes. I was going to try to explain how I felt when I woke up, but I feel like that just kind of summarizes it. Like, I just knew. I just woke up and I just felt that he was not here anymore. I still have the text screenshotted. I don't really know how to explain the feeling, but I then spent the majority of that day trying to get his mom or his grandma to go to the house and check on him, but for whatever reason that I cannot remember right now, they were busy and nobody ended up being able to get to the house and check on him until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. The day he died, I actually had a pretty busy day. Like, I had stuff to do at my halfway house in the morning, and then I was meeting my sponsor in the afternoon. We were going over my 3rd step, and then her and I and a bunch of other people were going to go to an NA meeting and then get dinner afterwards. So like, it was a whole full day, and although I remember being worried about him, he tended to disappear sometimes, and I was just trying to think, you know, it's just your anxiety. You always think the worst and it never comes true. Like, I'm sure he's fine, blah, blah, blah. So I don't remember panicking too much throughout the day, but who knows, I probably did. I should have looked at the exact time that his mom called me before I did this video, but I'm pretty sure it was between 3 and 5 p.m. And I know for a fact that I was on the 77 Belmont bus going to downtown Chicago to meet my sponsor. And I was sitting in the very back of the bus when she called me over Facebook, and as soon as I saw her name, my heart sank because she only called me when shit was bad. We talked a lot, but she only called me when things were bad. I answered and she said, Callie, and I was like, yeah, and she was like, where are you? And I told her I was on the bus, and she just said, he's gone. And to be quite fucking honest with you, I don't remember the rest of that conversation. I don't remember hanging up the phone. I really don't remember getting off the bus. I just could tell you the exact corner I got off at, and I called my mom while I was there. Some random stranger was holding me at some point. Like, I can't even tell you how it feels to try and think back about it because it's so like splotchy. It's like memory, darkness, memory, darkness. Like, I don't really know what went where, but I feel like I was on the corner for probably only like 7 minutes. Felt like a fucking lifetime though. I remember this stranger. He was somewhere around my age. It wasn't like some weird old man, but like he like caught me or was holding me up or something. I don't remember. I just remember his hands, and I remember him asking me, like, are you okay? Do you need help? Do you need to call somebody? And then I'm pretty sure after I kind of got myself together, I called my mom. I think that's the order that went in. I called my mom, and I told her that Dominic was dead, and her first response was, Callie, calm down. I'm sure he's fine. So if that doesn't tell you how often this happened, I don't know what will. And I was like, no, Mom, they are taking his body out of the house right now. Like, his grandma found him. Like, he's fucking dead. I somewhat remember that conversation with my mom. What I don't remember at fucking all is getting back on the bus and going home. I did not go and meet my sponsor. I turned right around and went back to my halfway house. I literally have no recollection of getting on the bus or that bus ride or really even getting home. The girls say when I walked into the house and told them that he died, I was just like stone cold, like emotionless, numb, like there was just like nothing. I was just like, he's dead. Like just nothing else, no tears, no screaming. I just said it. And the girls were like, okay, we are going to take you to that meeting. So like 5 of us piled in a car and they took me to an NA meeting, the one that I was supposed to go to with my sponsor. This is my favorite part of the story because I had been in the rooms like NA and AA for a long time at this point, going to 2 meetings a day. Like, I went to meetings, dude, and when I tell you I never shared, I fucking never shared. I would do anything to get out of speaking in those meetings. And this was the biggest meeting that we went to, the biggest meeting. There was like 70 people that went to this meeting. And I raised my hand in the middle of that meeting to share, and I say, my boyfriend died 3 hours ago. Like, just like that. Like, I just said it. And everybody was looking at me like, are you okay? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I had so many people coming up to me after, like, do you need help? Do you need us to take you somewhere? Like, are you, like, where are you right now? I'm not, like, laughing because any of this is actually humorous. It's just, like, it's crazy what shock will do to you, you know? Like, I have such a faint memory of this whole day, and my entire other half was just pronounced dead, and I just was like, shh, nothing, like, all day. I did not shed a single fucking tear the day that he died, and, like, that blows my mind to this day. The next morning, however, I feel like I've never felt a pain like I have the morning of January 28th. Like, waking up and realizing that he was gone. I cried for fucking hours. I probably cried for fucking days. Like, it was fucking hard. I would never wish that pain on anybody. Like, our love was anything but healthy, but that didn't mean it didn't exist, you know? Like, I loved him with everything I had. He was forever my first love. I fully believe he was one of my soulmates. Like, if you knew us and as you get to know us, like, we shouldn't have been together because we were so bad together, but, like, we were also perfect for each other. And I just couldn't imagine my first love being with anybody else, and to lose him when I was still fully planning on spending my life with him, like, it was just, I don't know. I would not wish that on any fucking person in the entire world. I flew home, I think the 29th is, I think, when I flew home, and my whole group of friends from high school and I planned a whole memorial for him at his favorite park, and we all wore tie-dye and smoked a bunch of weed, and it was a really good day. That was a really good day. He, I know, would have been, like, so happy about how the memorial turned out. If there was an ideal memorial for Dominic, like, we planned it. I was pretty proud of it. I did not do well with dealing with his death at all. It really broke every fucking piece of me. And it's crazy because I always thought that I was prepared for it, you know? I always told myself, like, there's a very good chance that he's going to die while you are still in love with this boy, and you are going to have to get through that. And I always told my mom, I was like, if he dies, you're going to have to check me in somewhere immediately. Like, I'm not going to be okay. I'm not going to make it through. And I mean, it was way worse than I ever thought it could be. Just because, like, you can't possibly imagine that pain. Like, you think that you can prepare yourself for something like that before it happens, but once it happens, it's just like... Definitely shaped me and will shape the rest of my life. Once I knew that he was dead, I really didn't need anybody to validate the fact that he died on the phone with me. Like, I just knew that he did. Like, literally as soon as they said that he was dead, I was like, oh my fucking God, he died on the phone with me. But a couple months later, I was at his grandma's house, and she had finally gotten the death report, which did say that his time of death was 3 a.m, so... Oh, and after she told me that, I went and I laid in the bed that he died in. That's probably really weird, but I literally do it every time I go to her house. I go and I just lay in that bed. Oh, God, it's such a fucking surreal feeling. Is that really fucked up to say? Maybe I shouldn't say that on social media. It's like, okay. Him and I stayed at his grandma's a lot during our relationship, but we'd always stay in their extra bedroom on the first floor. But I guess at the time of his death, his little sister was staying in that room, so he was actually staying in the attic, which I really didn't even know existed the entire time I was there. It was, like, closed off by a door, and I guess there was just a single bed upstairs. But that's the room he ended up dying in, and I had never even gone in there until after he had died, and I went and laid in the bed. I remember being so nervous to ask his grandma if I could go up to the attic, and she actually was the one that was like, do you want to go up there? I think she saw me eyeing it, and nobody had been up there since he died, and I don't know why I felt so compelled. Like, I could not leave that house without going up there, and oh my God. As soon as you open those doors, it's like, it's a lot. It's like a lot of energy. I don't know. everybody has different beliefs on all that kind of stuff, but I feel like I'm just a very sensitive person to energies and stuff going on around me, and like it was just so fucking heavy, but also in like a very beautiful way. It took me a lot to walk up those stairs and then to see the bed. And I think it took me a while to actually sit in the bed, but as soon as I did, I like just crawled in it and like crawled into a ball and just fucking sobbed. Like right where I knew he was sitting, I just crawled into a little ball, and I stayed up there for quite some time. It was really hard to leave, actually. Like, I don't know, that was where he was. And I'm sure that sounds so fucking insane to other people. Like, why would you do that? If I was listening to a story, I'd probably be like, bitch, that's insane. But I literally have to do it every time I go to her house. I don't go there very often. I'm not in St. Louis very often for many fucking reasons, but God, my boy. Anyway, it's 1 a.m. and I need to go to bed. This story was probably way too long, and I really do apologize for that. If it was too much detail or too much rambling, please let me know. If you guys want more videos like this, I promise I can make them shorter than this one. But let me know. Just let me know what you guys think and what you guys want.